Hi, I'm Neelima Chakra. I coach professionals to increase their capacity and effectiveness, be visible, valued, and rewarded, and be the leaders they want to be. In the sixth episode of the series, Leading with Purpose, I talk to Sajita Thomas. Who could tell better than her what must professionals consider when thinking about their growth and the role that organizations should play in facilitating the growth of employees? Happy listening. In today's episode of Leading with Purpose, I host Sajita Thomas. Sajita is an HR thought leader with 23 years of work experience with companies like Reliance Infocom, Atos, Future Group, and Oracle. She currently heads the HR function for Diebold Nixdorf's India Software Center. She's a strengths-based coach and a senior program leader for Iron Lady and aspires to help 1 million women reach the top. She also likes to mentor students from across management colleges. She's an ex-national athlete and continues to follow her passion for sports by participating in marathons, car rallies, and 100-kilometer trail walks. Welcome, Sajita. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Sure. So 1 million women, 100-kilometer trail walks. You're all about going big.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll start with a rapid fire round so people can get to know you a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
So what did you want to be when you were a child?
Undoubtedly an uniformed officer.
Wow. All right. One word your family would use to describe you.
Endearing.
Okay. One word your team would use to describe you.
A solutionist.
Okay. What is the one thing that you're most passionate about outside of work?
I think it has always been helping young adults to follow their passion by choosing the right careers. So it comes from, the way we are raised and some of the learning. So it's very, very close to my heart.
Okay, right. Name one person you're inspired by and why.
Many actually, but to name it, it would be Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam for the humility. And I think in my career, I've seen how humble leaders are able to leave a lasting impact on people. So I try my bit of following his path.
Very nice. Okay. What do you think is today's biggest leadership challenge and how do you deal with it?
Okay, let me answer this across 3 levels of leadership. I'll start with the top and maybe go down to, the managerial level. I think one of the biggest challenge in my recent experiences that I've seen what executive leadership faces is on, them being able to take tough decisions in the face of uncertainties. Not about taking a decision once and then, it's like waiting. The ability to do it over and over again if needed, right? So making those tough calls again and again and again and again. I think that's something which I have seen as a challenge today. It's not easy, but yeah, that's one thing that I have noted. Then when we look at, the next level of leadership, it's about being how to be more diplomatic and not political. People don't understand the difference of it, and especially when you're working in a super hybrid matrix organization, navigating all these challenges where cultures and ideologies clash without jeopardizing organization goals is one of the challenge which, the next level of leadership is facing, maybe I would want to say that everybody is trying their best, but it is something which is definitely there. And lastly, when we talk about your managers, right, it's about remote managing their workforce. So my husband was asking me, so when are you going to go back to work 5 days a week? And I said, it's not happening. Right. So it's though it's 3 years that we've been in this hybrid environment, I often see managers struggling with this remote leadership. So deploying efficient management strategies without impacting deliverables, and at the same time making the employees have that sense of belongingness is a big challenge the managers face. So I see these challenges at 3 different levels.
And you're at a place where you need to facilitate all the 3 layers. So how do you deal with it?
So I think it's about, again, being agile. It's about, being that mediator between the managers and the India leadership team. So you need to go back and forth, and a lot of times suggest on what they can try and be soft on it. As HR, if we stick to policies by the book, I don't think that's going to work. We're talking about challenges being faced everywhere, right? So how do you engage a workforce which is so diverse, with different needs? It is a challenge. So actually being, allies to these managers, and then being in that advisory position with your a leadership team, I think that's the best that we can do. Keep learning, be agile, and try out new things, and be more of friends rather than pull roles. I think that's what helps.
Okay. So you're saying you provide a framework and let people operate within that, rather than saying this is it and this is what you need to do.
Absolutely, because in between, there is a lot of pressure for you to change the way you are working when some big company in the industry brings in a rule. Like you need to come report 5 days a week. It may not work in a small product organization. So you just cannot copy paste something and put it for yourself. Every organization has their own culture. Every organization has their own personality. So I guess, being a little flexible in understanding the needs and not pushing them is the best way to work.
So there's no template.
It's trial and error. It's about making them understand your perspective. It's about understanding what they need, and where we need to have tough love, we have to give that. But that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So conversations, connections, agility, facilitation, and tough love sometimes.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So Sajita, I've interacted with you. I've seen you a bit. There are so many roles that you play. And even when we are not playing so many roles, life is hardly ever smooth. Right? There are bound to be setbacks somewhere or the other.
Absolutely.
As a person, as a leader, how do you deal with setbacks?
Well, I'm as human as anyone else is, but I do believe that I am different because I come from an army household where discipline was paramount. So following rituals is not a big challenge for me. More so being a junior national athlete, life was not kind in terms of, protecting you always. So training on the ground for 6 hours every day as a teenager, or right from the teenager all throughout, and being okay with more failures than the successes has always given me a different perspective in life. So the only choice that I know is, no matter what happens, you are doing it because you want to do it. And if you want to do it, then you better do it and give it your best. So failures are my, or rather is my friend. And if you fail, try again and try harder. I think that's something which was ingrained in me as a young child. And I carry that through, and I find it easier not resisting failure, and just saying that, okay, it didn't work. Let me try again. Let me try it another way. And I think this mindset allows me to snap out of setbacks faster than maybe to somebody else. So whether it is a professional setback or a personal setback. So I just dust myself, get up, get ready, and I say, okay, I need to try one more time and let me play my A game. So doing things that I like is therapeutic and healing. So one is the mindset that you're talking about, right? So about not having a choice, uh, and not being very hard on yourselves, just getting up and doing it again. And the second is how when the days when you feel low, you need to find something in which you can engage yourself, which will be healing. And what I do is I do a lot of participation, active participation in ERGs, if I'm talking about something related to office. If not, then, I love going for long walks. Um, I love indulging myself in community voluntary activities. I love experimenting with fragrances.
Wow.
So I make soaps for charity. So I do that once in a while, and that's therapeutic for me. Or just sitting down and lifting a dampened spirit, or simply by practicing spirituality, it basically helps me in kind of being okay. Yeah, just wanted to share one thing. I was speaking to somebody at work, one stakeholder who I really admire and respect. And he was telling me that no matter what happens, especially from the work context, he was saying that, you have 5 days to recover. That's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that. And he said at a leadership level, all we have is 5 days to recover, even if it means a personal setback at home. 5 days is okay. People will be tolerant. Beyond that, they will expect you to, kind of get back to normalcy. And I think that I kind of did not understand that when he said that. And I said, how can somebody recover if there is a death in the family and just be normal and come back to work? But if you're the captain of the ship, that's the time you have, right? So I got it later when I was reflecting on one of my walks. And I think it makes a lot of sense. So as leaders, things happen because we are also human, but we need to understand that you need to kind of get up and start leading, because there are so many people who are dependent on you. And there are times when you're not able to see the direct contribution that we make to people's lives. But I'm sure if we are good, if we are stable, then we will be able to help so many more people. Yeah.
Your response is very inspiring, Sajita. But I want to double click on, the 5 days to recover thing.
Yeah.
As a leader, I'm sure you come across people who at that point of time are not able to recover in 5 days. And what is
Yeah.
your advice to them?
So I think as a person, I'm a little more empathetic, maybe because the way I am trained, or with the way I have trained myself, I would advise people around them, right, to provide that extra cushion by being a little more tolerant, by being a little more empathetic towards them, because we are all different human beings. Our needs are different. Our emotional needs are different. And I think just allowing time for people to recover, is the best thing we can do, rather than, shake somebody up and say, hey, look, you need to, get back. And I think that may not work, because if we are able to deal with, this sensitive time, then I think they will understand and respect not only you as an individual, but the organization for valuing that moment and allowing them. So I think that's what it is. The question is, what would you do if you have a family member who's taking a little more time?
Right.
So I think I'll just extend that at workplace, and I say that I think we need to be a little more tolerant, rather than saying, I recovered from this in 5 days. Why is he or she taking so much time? And I think being okay and admitting that people are different, that makes a lot of change.
So, Sajita, this is my favorite question. I coach mid-senior professionals, and we tell them all the time, take charge of your career. I have also 23 plus years of corporate career. All the time we tell them, take charge of your career, own your career. From your perspective, what are some of the actions that equate to taking charge of your career?
Neelima, I don't see any other way to develop myself or an individual but by taking charge. And therefore, the question or the statement that you have asked, right, it stands true across all levels. You are in charge of your career, and people need to understand that. Long gone are those days when a new joinee would surrender himself or herself to the manager and say that, whatever you would advise or guide me, I will do that. And, where we depend on the manager to build our career, it's out of the window, right? Workforce today is much more smarter. Their demands are very clear. They are looking at growth. Interestingly, if you look at exit surveys, more than 70% of the employees quit organizations that do not provide career growth. So my advice to all aspiring professionals is to take charge, ask for tools like career framework in your organization, understand how that tool works, equip yourself with all the adequate information that you have, and then prepare yourself to navigate your career within the vertical, or start looking at what interests you, even in different verticals. So you can have a ladder movement, you can have a lateral movement or a lattice movement. It doesn't matter. But it is about, I own my career. Right? So people need to conquer the fears, get out of comfort zones, stop saying that I have worked in this technology, so this is what I want to work. What if it's a dying technology? What if there is something else coming up and it will give you that opportunity for you to grow? So do not fear or trying new things. That's when opportunities will come knocking at your door. Explore your skills. Look if that is of interest to you. If not, you can always switch back. Be mobile. I tell this to everybody. Be mobile. I am from Delhi or I am from Mumbai, and therefore I don't want to go anywhere. No, when you move, you get to meet new people, you get to work on, better projects, and it's okay if things don't work. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your career. But think about it. If things work and if it's in your favor, one will hit a jackpot in all true sense, whether it is a role, compensation, the exposure someone gets, the experience, and most of all, they will be joyful. So we need to take charge of our career. So there was a big project that we ran in one of my previous organizations, which was you own your career.
Okay.
Right. So it's so true, unless I don't go and ask for more, unless I don't have those conversations, unless I don't come and say, I think I've seen everything, I want to do something else and explore, therefore, what is it that I can do? So that is with the individual, and therefore coming back and saying that yes, individuals own their career, not the manager, not the company.
It's interesting. You started off with people quit because of growth. They want growth. They seek growth, and asking for more. I think more and more what we see happening is that individuals walk up and say, "Hey, I want the next level." What is your experience of uh, understanding what growth might actually mean?
Everybody feels that promotion is the only way of going to the next level. Okay? So that's one. Second, it is one thing about asking for promotion, but there is no homework that they do asking themselves or taking that feedback. Am I ready for the next level? Right? So that homework is not done. So many people, I've seen this across industries, growth for them is promotion, first in role and then in compensation. Okay, so compensation becomes the basic need and a very touchy topic. And every organization has their ranges and some principles of compensation that they follow, but generally it is about promotions, and skill readiness. Unfortunately, even managers at a mid-level and before that. Okay, so there is one fact that I want people to understand, and when I talk to them, I constantly remind them. Okay, so there are two parts to this growth. People only look at one. First part is, am I ready? Which means being skill ready. Second is, there has to be an open position. Right? So when managers say that I want to promote 4 people from a software engineer in my team to a senior software engineer, and if you're promoting everybody upward, who's going to do what about your base? Right? So it's very, very challenging when we are making people understand that there are two parts of growth. One is your skill readiness. Second is the role being open and available. So having said that, one still needs to prepare and be ready. And when the role opens up, they need to, quickly jump and apply for that position. Right? So this is something which a lot of people challenge, and they don't get it, that there has to be open roles.
You've brought up a very deep kind of aspect of it. There is it's almost fashionable to get titular promotions. You get the next fancy title and nothing about your role changes.
Yeah.
And people are happy in the moment, but every day I also coach people who say, "Hey, I'm called this now, but I continue to do what I was doing before I had this title." Right?
Yeah.
So, this aspect that you speak about, a role should be open. If it has to be a true promotion, it would only be
Absolutely.
a role open. And anything
Absolutely.
is just, decorative.
Yeah. So while what I said is from the employee's perspective, as an employer, we have to be mindful. Therefore, instead of making it look decorative, there has to be a meaty role which I'm giving someone, and that due diligence and that sanctity of that career framework and that organization pyramid needs to be maintained by the HR and the managers, right? And avoid pushing people upward. It's like this, right? There are people, one of my other previous organizations, they said that they had a concept called as dry promotions. Okay, so dry promotions is where you don't have the budget, but you are okay to move the person to the higher level. Now that has a whole lot of other set of complications. But the thing is, just like what you said, for titles, when it is different, for some time you're okay, and then it is BAU. Or if you look at an action that is done the other way around, where you say that, look, I can't promote you, but I can give you a hike, which is a little more than a normal hike, let
Mm.
me do that. The moment that person says, I'm fine, and that first salary hits your account, thereafter it is no more Noel,
Yeah.
right? So we need to be very careful when we are doing it, as an organization, and therefore, not allow the sense of this to fall. And that breaks the trust. It makes the organization a phony organization, and we fail, right? The organizations fails, the employee is dissatisfied, and it doesn't work. So it's a very sensitive topic which has to be managed in the right manner. That's what I feel.
You've given advice to organizations, but you've given a lot to think to those mid-career professionals who aspire to grow. What are the questions they should ask themselves? What, even when they're offered something, what must they evaluate? I think you've given them very deep insights. So thank you so much. I really value your time and your inputs. I hope that you will come again. Maybe we'll dig deeper into this topic of promotions and raises and have an exclusive conversation in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neelima, for inviting me. You have a pleasant day, and it will be an honor to be invited again. I hope our conversation is useful to the audience who would be listening to it, and will trigger some thoughts.
It was very useful to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed this conversation and it gave you something to think about. In fact, I hope that it gave you a lot to think about. We would be very happy to receive feedback and more questions from you on what might give you more clarity. Thank you for listening in, and thank you again, Sajita.
Thank you.